Saturday Man Show. Bold flavor.
Hello, welcome to Saturday Man Show. This is Brant coming at you with my wingman, Caleb. How you doing, Sir Caleb?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. And
Now,
are
Caleb,
you? How are you?
I'm great, man. You know, before taping this, we talked to Victoria Jackson of Saturday Night Live. I think we need to have her on the Saturday Man Show, even though she's a female.
I agree. I mean, what an awesome person and a kind person, and it was a fun interview, man. Like she's a hoot.
Well, she broke out a ukulele and did the intro to the show, singing about the show and put my name in there. I love that, man. But she's as funny as she ever has been. I'll never forget her. She's great. I mean, beautiful like Terry Garr, and yet funny, and handstands and ukuleles and poems, and Dennis Miller. She even worked with Chris Farley. And so that's going to be a good Saturday Man Show when we talk to Victoria Jackson, Saturday Night Live. But today's show is a crucial show there, Sir Caleb.
What are we speaking about today?
We are talking about how to have an affair with your wife. Now, when people saw that title, they went crazy on social media, and they should. That's a big thing. Some people would say, hey, isn't having an affair a bad thing? Well, it's not bad if it's your wife. But before we do that, Caleb, there's a lot of reasons why people, though, they do have an affair. And there's never an excuse for an affair, but there's always an explanation. Some things there's never an excuse for, but there is an explanation, But there's all kinds of reasons why men that are watching have affairs. And maybe it's loneliness, maybe it's sex, maybe it's a lack of respect, maybe it's just kindness. Maybe you're in a toxic situation and you're tempted to have an affair because someone's just kind to you. That's very possible, Caleb. For non-men, for people who aren't men, it's always tempted to say, well, those are dirty dogs and they want sex. Not realizing that, it's important to know your needs as a woman who are watching, as important as for men to know their needs as a man. There's that saying, Caleb, know thyself. Well, if you know your needs as a man and you know your wife's needs, you have a better chance of having not only a better marriage, but an affair-proof marriage, okay? Mm-hmm. And let's go through that a little bit, because as we're talking about this, there's a story I'm going into, Caleb. But basically, for men, there's not much to us guys, is there, Caleb? I mean, eat, drink, sleep, fight, have sex, work, right?
Yeah, pretty much, Maybe not in that order, but, it's all there, yeah.
Well, not everything is as it should be. I should be able to eat chocolate and not gain weight, but that's not how it is, right? I should be able to make love to my wife every day, in between brushings, multiple times a day. That's how it should be, but that's not how it is, right?
Yeah, I think they need to work on that, and think we need to make some adjustments. I mean,
yeah, there you go. So don't tell your wife that Brent said that, guys. But I know that women watch this show, and I know that men watch this show, and we're going to give you some really good things here. But first, let's set the foundation. Know thyself. A man needs three basic things, guys. If you do your research, to be respected, to be cared for or loved, and to be desired. All right. And so there's a lot of times, Caleb, where a guy may not be in a great marriage, and some pretty female, she doesn't even have to be pretty. Maybe she can just be kind, but she compliments him. I admire you. She might bring brownies to him. I care for you. And she might try to seduce him. I desire you. Well, those are three needs that men have. And it's important, guys, that you know that about yourself. And here's why. Because it's very hard to seduce a happy man. It's very hard to get a man that is secure in his marriage to have an affair with you, right?
Yeah.
I've heard it put this way, Caleb.
A lot of it too is having, trust, a trustful relationship with your spouse.
Right.
Having worked in the film industry before, I was required to work with a lot of actresses, and right. I found that the best way to, one, keep myself accountable, and two, to make my spouse feel accountable is I was honest where I was and who I was with all the time. Right. And one thing that became habit that I didn't even notice I was doing was I would find myself talking about my wife to those other women.
There you
And,
go.
you know, not in a bad thing, it just would come up in conversation and right away, because then that honesty and that upfrontness keeps you from a bad situation.
It's a
So
safeguard, isn't it?
exactly, exactly. So
It's a
if they
force field.
bring you those
Yeah.
brownies, you can be like, great, but my wife's are still
Right.
better. Okay. You know,
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you said that. And Caleb, you're a young man. You're younger than I am, and I love you being on the show and your insight as well. If you know about yourself that you have a basic need to be respected, to be loved, and to be desired, then you're going to see if people are trying to push those buttons or not, right? The same way that you should know yourself, you should know about women. They have three basic needs too: to be loved, right? To be protected, and to be provided for, right?
yes.
And then under that, to be desired, you know. But it's hard to tempt a happy man, and it's hard, ladies, for someone to steal your husband if he feels loved, if he feels desired, he feels respected, right? Guys, it's harder for someone to steal your wife if she feels loved, if she feels protected, if she feels provided for, and if she feels desired. So knowing these things about each other can help you affair-proof your marriage, guys and gals. It's important to know. And like Caleb, you just said, promote your spouse to other people, especially people of the opposite sex. That's a safeguard in preventing the temptation to have an affair. Caleb, there are times when a guy may be unhappy in his marriage. Now, some guys are just dogs, man. They want to have sex with anything. That's not who I'm talking about. But you can have a situation where perhaps as time has gone by, if you haven't been careful in your communication with your spouse, you might have a toxic marriage. There's not respect going between you. There's not desire going on between you. There's not love going on between you. There's not provision going on between you. And it's really easy for a man to feel like he's falling in love with someone else who doesn't love him. They're just pushing the buttons. The brownies, I care about you, right? The compliments, oh, you look nice today, I admire you, right? And then the flirting, I desire you. And so many times, if you're not careful, guys, you can fall into a situation, actually walk into a situation where that person doesn't love you. Now you lost everything, and you're not even with the person that you thought loved you or that you thought you were in love with. That is how a lot of affairs happen.
And as a man,
But today,
you
Go ahead.
also, as a man, you also need to, be aware enough that, even if you're suffering from some of those things, not putting yourselves in those situations. Because, like, I'm a very friendly person, and I had to learn very early on that being friendly and flirting, it's a very, very fine line. And
It
so not putting yourself in a situation where it comes off as something that it's not, or, coming across in a way that you're not.
Right.
And, as far as like that safeguard, I think some of it's kind of as simple as people talk about what they care about, right?
Right.
You love football, you're going to talk about football a lot. Anytime someone gives you a chance to talk about football, you're going to be like, oh yeah, those Dallas Cowboys or whoever your team is, not judging. They're going to sit there and they're going to talk about it. If you like video games or movies, you're going to talk about it all the time.
Right.
And I think that if your family and your spouse is important to you, you're going to find it come up in situations because that's what's important to you.
There you go.
And but at the same time, you are also right. I mean, it does take two people to be in a marriage. It can't be one-sided. And you have to work together. But I would like to encourage you, men, if you're going through a hard time, reach out
Find a
to a
brother to talk
counselor
to.
or something, locate that problem and try and work through it. And
see, you're talking about safeguards, and you know what? I'm glad that you are, Caleb. Guys, have more safeguards. You know what? You watch the news and you hear about someone getting killed at 3:00 in the morning down the street from a bar. Don't be there, right? You see a horror movie and someone's being attacked. Don't be there. Don't be there. You know what? Sometimes it's hard not to be alone with a woman, but you know what? I'm never alone with a woman. Never. on purpose. So I'm not there. Don't be there if you can avoid it, right? Secondly, heart talk. Guys, you don't want to do heart talk with another woman, because when you begin to do heart talk with another woman, if you're not careful, you begin to enter into a realm that only should be between you and your wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've been talking about just all on the offset in the beginning how to avoid having an affair with somebody else. But now, Caleb, we're going to talk about having an affair with your wife.
Oh,
And I
this
know
is the
this is
good
what a lot
part.
of you.
So you fellas
Oh,
listen
there you
up
go.
close, because this is the good part.
Listen
This is
up
the fun
close
part.
now. You know, it was about 21 years ago, Caleb. I was sitting at lunch, and we'll call him John, and we're having lunch like we usually did once a week. You know, great, fantastic guy, professional guy. He loved women, but he loved his wife. He loved his wife, and I believe that he was faithful to her. But you know, I asked him at some point in the lunch. I said, "So how's your wife doing? How's she doing?" He said, "Oh, I don't know." I mean, like it was normal. "Oh, I don't know." Really? And I said, well, what do you mean you don't know, man? She's your wife, right? He said, "Oh, I don't know. She does her thing and I do my thing." And then he began to describe a marriage without passion. There wasn't intimacy going on. There wasn't passion going on. There wasn't excitement going on. It was routine. And I said, "Well, I know what you need to do, John. You need to have an affair." And his eyes got real big. And I said, "With
Say
your
what
wife."
now?
Yeah, with your wife. And then he just, he had an epiphany. I said, "You need to have an affair with your wife." Someone very wise once said, "You've lost your first love. Go back and do the things you did at first."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to talk to you about that today, guys. And Caleb, I'm glad you're here to give your insight too, brother. It is possible, guys, for you to have an affair with your wife. You're two individuals, and as you grow and as time goes on, you're both changing. You're both evolving. And that's why if you hear a man say, "Oh, I'm so tired of her," guess what? You don't even know her if you're tired of her, because she's always evolving, always changing. And you have a lot, guys, you have a lot to do with what she's changing into. It's not all on you. Some guys, their wife changes into a lovely, wise, beautiful woman. Some guys' wives turn into a critic. Some men or women will put on 100 pounds and become a terror to live with and a tyrant. I've seen it both ways, guys. But you're both changing. Why not change together in the right direction and discover who each other is? Now, have you seen the movie Face Off, Caleb, with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage?
Oh yeah, it's been a long time, but I
Yeah.
am old enough to know what that movie is, and I have seen it.
Face Off, right? Fantastic movie. Do you know what struck me about that movie? Especially after I talked to this guy, John, about having an affair with his wife, which I'll tell you how to. The character that John Travolta played was a grief-stricken father who lost his child that Nicolas Cage sniped, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He was walking in grief. He was walking in hurt and hate and defeat. And you get the impression that it had been many years since that event happened. And so his marriage was non-existent. There wasn't intimacy in his marriage. There wasn't passion, sex going on. There wasn't dialogue, hardly at all. And it affected his relationship with his daughter in the movie too. Well, somewhere in the movie, there's technology that was created that allowed someone to change faces with someone else. Well, Travolta changes faces. He captures the man who killed his son. He changes faces with him to go into the prison system and get some answers that he was needing for this crime ring, right? Well, what ends up happening is Nicolas Cage wakes up. He finds out his face is gone. Travolta's face is in the laboratory. He forces someone to put Travolta's face on him. And now he's walking out free with Travolta's face, who was a chief of police.
Mm-hmm.
And Travolta is in prison with Nicolas Cage's face. Well, here's what happened. So Nicolas Cage is the cocky horn dog who now has on Travolta's face. He visits Travolta in jail and says, "I have a lonely wife to go see." So what does he do? He goes to Travolta's home with his face, but it's not him. And as he's pulling up, he's seeing Travolta's wife in the front yard bending over, and she's a good-looking woman. And he's like, ooh, okay, what's next? You know, she turns around and sees him. Well, she's expecting to see the same grief-stricken, non-communicative, angry man. That's not what she sees. It's her husband's face, but there's a different attitude behind that face. And what does he say to her, Caleb? He says, baby, I hate to see you go, but I like to watch you leave. And he begins to almost seduce her, right? Now, you don't see any scenes of that in the movie, but you get the impression that his attitude, he starts treating her like he's coming on to her, and she loves it.
Yeah.
Now, she was horrified later to find out that it was somebody else, okay? Because that technology also changed their body types and all that too. Incredible movie. You need to watch it, guys, Face Off. But the bottom line was he engaged his wife in a way that he had not engaged her before. When's the last time you flirted with your wife? When's the last time you
You know,
did something
with
out
me,
there?
it would be, it's been about, let's see. Oh, let's say 10 hours. Because, when I'm sleeping,
really?
I
That long?
don't teach, but,
I flirted with my wife about less than an hour ago. all that.
Well, does
no,
texting count? Because,
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then, yeah. So that's more like, 30 minutes ago. But
Well, you know what? When I saw that movie, Caleb, it made an impact on me. And, music, think about music. When you listen to music, what does it do? It takes you back, man, to those times, I mean, I can listen to a song and in a second, I am 16 years old again, And so music can take you back. Do movies do you that way too, Caleb? Have you seen an old movie?
yeah, some, like ones that I watched when I was, a kid, or I remember seeing, it drives people crazy, but all the time, we'll watch like something like Jurassic Park, for instance, and I'll go, well, I got to
Right.
see that in theaters, and they're like, wait, what? You're lucky you got to see, and,
Right.
but it's not so much a brag. It's just like, oh, I remember going and seeing that,
Right.
15 years ago when it came out, or however long it's been.
Well,
So, those memories do pop up because it takes you back to a place and a feeling, and, you kind of just think about, where you were when that first happened.
exactly. Well, you know what? Your cells have memory. You have muscle memory. There's a metaphysical change when you hear certain songs, when you see certain movies, you see certain pictures. It does take you back. You do feel like you felt then, right? Well, it's the same thing with relationships. And it's also the same thing while we're talking about relationships with forgiveness. If you repeat a matter, you repeat an offense over and over again, have you noticed that your body takes a hit? Even doctors will tell you that unforgiveness can be a cause, and is for many people a cause of cancer. You're resubjecting your body to the same trauma over and over again when you repeat it, when you relive it.
Needless
And people don't
emotional
realize.
stress, that's what
Yep.
that does to you.
And your immune system takes a hit. Well, what happens when you listen to the music that we just talked about again? Or what happens when you listen to a certain song or watch a certain movie? You're being taken back. What metaphysical effect is that having on you? You're reliving that. Well, that's not a bad thing. It's a
Endorphins,
positive.
brother, endorphins.
There you go. So, guys, here's what we're going to do in our minutes of the Saturday Man Show. This is just one of several shows that we'll do about this topic later on. Guys, if you want to have a marriage, if you want to have a good marriage, I've got a good marriage, man. I love my wife. I provide for my wife. She works too, but I provide for. I protect my wife. I desire my wife. I rock her world, brother. Okay, I adore that woman, and I work at it. And if you're with the right one, it's not a lot of hard work.
No,
It's
not.
like breathing, man, But all that to say is I love her, and I don't put myself in situations where I'm going to be tempted or compromised. But you know what? If someone did try to speak my languages of respect, of desire, of love, guess what? I got that from my wife. Okay. So I love women, Caleb. I was raised to love women. I've enjoyed loving women. But I put all of my desire, I put all of my passion into one woman, and that's my wife. What else do? I listen to the old songs, sometimes with her, sometimes alone when I'm on the road. I listen to the old songs that take me back to when I fell in love with her. I also take her to the old places that we fell in love with along our journey. I was with my wife before we were married years ago. We dated briefly, and for various reasons, we didn't stay together. But I found out after years that she was still single. I didn't waste any time. So what do we do? Our very first moments together, we immediately began to reclaim the old places. We spent a whole day going to the old places.
Mm-hmm.
We listened to the old music. And guess what? Here's the good news is when you go back there, it doesn't have to be a vacation. You can go ahead and reside there.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the old places, guys. Go to the old songs. Go to the old movies. Okay? And just as your cells and your body, your emotions have muscle memory, so to speak, right? You also need to forgive. You need to forgive yourself. If you've allowed yourself to be stagnant in this marriage, if you allowed yourself to live a mediocre life, maybe she thought she was marrying a go-getter and she ended up with a guy that stays on the couch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not who you are. That's just kind of who you became, right? If that's you, okay?
I mean,
All that to
recliners
say-
are very comfortable, but that doesn't mean you can't get out of them every now and then,
Nothing wrong with recliner. Caleb, we work hard and we play hard. We relax hard. I know that. But what I'm talking about is maybe you've lost yourself along the way. Maybe you were that individual that she saw, and she was the individual that you saw, and you loved each other, and you respected each other's individuality. Everything was a gift. Oh, the first kiss. Oh, the first hand touch. Oh, you made spaghetti for me. Oh, you bought me this. But after a while, you let yourself fall into this. You lost your identity, and gifts became expectations. And then you went from romance to reality, which we all do. And then you went from reality to resentment, and from resentment to revenge. It's easy to do. It's human nature.
Sometimes you get tired and it's very easy to settle into this routine.
Sure.
But, it's little things like, before you get in that recliner,
Right.
and watch your TV shows, ask her how her day went. Give her a hug
you
and a
go.
kiss. Pinch her on
There
the
you
rear
go.
end. Whatever you like to do, that's between you and your wife. But give her that time to tell you about her day, because guess what?
Yes.
As soon as you do that, she's going to want to know about your day. And she's
Oh, yeah.
going to want, to do that. So make sure every day you spend that time, connecting before
Right.
you get, settled. The tiredness doesn't bog you down and make you resent each other because, well, he never helps with the laundry and, she never does the dish, and
Right.
and
And
that's
it
easy
happens
to
to
do.
everybody unless you're purposeful. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage you as men. You see a graphic there. That graphic, you see a crown, a sword, a compass, and a heart. The crown is provide like a king. Hey, we can always do better. But provision is so much more than money, Caleb. It's looking ahead, provision, right?
Mhm.
So provide. What kind of atmosphere am I providing my wife when I come home, right? Provide like a king. Also, the sword, protect like a warrior. You better be willing to protect your family, especially now.
Yeah,
Guess
nobody
what?
else is going to do it.
No, your government's not going to do it. You got to protect your family. Okay. So, but that's also protecting their hearts. Sometimes that's from harsh words, but protect your family, right? Then the compass, lead like a leader. As a leader, as a man, if I see something that needs to be done, I don't care who's supposed to do it. If it needs to be done, it's not done yet, I'll do it. Now, if I have children that I'm trying to teach responsibility to, I'll let them know. But if I'm a man and I see it needs to be done, I do it because guess what? There's a joy. I love being a man, Caleb. I love it unapologetically. There's a joy in being a man, making things happen, taking care of things, protecting, providing, leading. And then finally, the heart. You love like a lover. You want to love your wife like a lover? Then love her, man, in a way that you'd lay down your life for her. Now, I know it's a two-way street. In our culture, men are expected to be something, and there's a lot of confusion. The enemies of our country have deliberately tried to emasculate our men. That's why you see the gender confusion. There's no confusion at all. It's a propagated communist manifesto thing they've been trying since the 60s. They're trying to get a race war. They're trying to get an emasculated America. They're trying to destroy even women. You can't even call a mother anymore. They're birthing people. You can't even have a women's sports. Get a dude with a wig beating up on a woman. Now he wins the scholarship for women. It's wrong. We have to reclaim our manhood. Provide like a king, protect like a warrior, lead like a leader, love like a lover, and have an affair with your wife. Forgive yourself for being stagnant. Forgive yourself for having a mediocre marriage if you have one. I don't, but there's been a time that I did, right? Forgive yourself and then forgive her for anything that she's done to you.
Your wife doesn't want to be your mother. She wants a man.
That's right.
So, you know, especially if you have kids, she's already being a mother to other people.
Right.
She doesn't want to be your mama.
Right. Hey, man, being a man that's going somewhere. Don't be that guy that you just tune out and you blow everybody off, you know? But be encouraged, brothers. Be encouraged to be men. If you see something that needs to be done, do it. But be her adventure, guys. You know what? You can't get tired of a woman that's always evolving and growing. You know what? If you have a rose bush in front of your house, you never water it, what's going to happen to it? Okay? So the good news is there is hope, man. There is hope, and there's a way to have an affair with your wife. You go back and you do the things you did at first. That's just step number one, Caleb. But I'm telling you what, switch it up, man, because this life is wonderful. And you're not limited to anything. You know, I sent my wife flowers the other day, Caleb, and she said, "What did you do?" I didn't do anything. There was nothing to atone for. I just wanted to send you flowers, baby, because I love you.
Yeah.
You know, if you have children that are still small, you know, when you get home, you know what you need to do? Get home. Take that shower after you listen to how her day was, and then you help with the kids. Because guess what? You put the kids to bed early that night, you have a little extra time with mama, okay? But it's possible for you to have a great marriage. Yeah. So, guys, I want you to have a great marriage. I want to see you be men. You know, love being a man, unapologetically, man. We were made to be men, Caleb. We were made from the dust of the wilderness. We're tougher than we think we are. We were destined to be kings and warriors and leaders and lovers. And that's step number one, to begin to have an affair with your wife. And it gets better as the shows go on. What do you think, Caleb?
I think it's great advice, and I can't wait to see what we talk about next.
There you go. So, guys, you be blessed. Have a great weekend. Enjoy being those roles. You fulfill those roles in your life every day. You will be successful. And may you have a great affair with your wife all the time. Go back there and stay in the good place. And we'll see you next time on the Saturday Man Show.
The Saturday Man Show. Bold flavor.
Hi, I'm Timothy. I'm graduating Life Challenge. Originally, I started this program because my addiction to drugs was causing too many problems in my life. I couldn't keep a job. I destroyed many close relationships and kind of just lost my sense of purpose. Many people in my circumstances, they don't make it out of addiction, so I thank God that in His mercy, He helped me. I feel a bit at ease knowing that God is helping me. He's by my side, and I just know that He'll always be there no matter what comes my way. Like over and over, through little circumstances, He proves that He cares and that He loves me. So I just ultimately just want to give Jesus thanks for everything He's doing. God is real.